Hi, well, it's I've got a couple of minutes between meetings here, and I figured I'd try something a bit different and do Andy's council meeting agenda summary in video form. Now, hopefully, cram it into just 3-4 minutes. Now, obviously, being a summary, I'm not going to go into all the details of everything that's on the agenda, but we'll just cover some of the more interesting points. If you do want to find out more information or see everything in detail, best bet is to jump on the city's website, rockingham.wa.gov.au, where you can find the agenda, all the reports, all the bulletins, the budget, the whole works. Now, first up is the budget review. Obviously, the annual report comes out annually, as you'd expect, but because things can change throughout the year, the council have a review process that happens 3 times over the course of 12 months, and this is one of them. Now, overall, we're pretty much spot on. There's a few areas where we've spent a little bit more than planned. There's a few areas where we've spent a little bit less. But overall, the finance guys have done a really great job, and we're pretty much bang on target. Now, the draft tourism strategy is going up for consideration this month. This is a huge step forward because the city's never really had a definitive tourism strategy before, which is a bit crazy given how fantastic the beaches and all the other natural attractions we've got are. Now, assuming it gets through tomorrow night, it will go out for public consultation, and if you've got any sort of an interest in promoting Rockingham or in tourism and marketing in general, I would really recommend that you get yourself a copy of the strategy, have a read through and make any recommendations or criticisms, any suggestions, put them in as an official submission, and be part of the process that helps to promote Rockingham as the fantastic place we know it is. Now, the city's social media policy is up for consideration this month as well. Now, this is an interesting one because there's been a lot of talk about it on social media, ironically, but there's not really a huge amount in it that's going to change anything. Councillors don't really have the right to freedom of speech, and that is a result of the Local Government Act and other regulations that come down to us from the state government. All the social media policy really states is that councillors and city officers will tell the truth. They'll not try and go out of their way to create division or animosity, and really just sort of abide by the code of conduct that's already in place. But like I said, it's an interesting one, and it's definitely got a lot of heated debate on social media already. There's also 5 notices of motion from councillors that are being considered this month. The first one is about advocating the state government to change some of the rules and regulations around the CAT Act. Obviously, we have our local laws, but we're only allowed to legislate local laws that comply with the state legislation. And one of those aspects is that we're not allowed to make a law that states that cats have to remain on the property of their owner, the same way that dogs do. Now, this notice of motion suggests that we should be advocating more to the state, to have that changed so that we at the City of Rockingham and other local governments can make that determination if they want to. Now, the second notice of motion is about the city's economic development policy, which at the moment is actually out of date. And I would imagine a lot of that is to do with the change of CEO and the change of a lot of key staff in that economic development field. The city already has plans to have a new one implemented by the end of the year, but the council that's put this forward believes it's of utmost importance and it needs to be fast-tracked to obviously come into effect a lot quicker. It's an interesting one. I'm definitely a bit of a fence-sitter on this, and I'll be looking forward to seeing some of the debate tomorrow night to see what people have to say. Now, the next notice of motion that came in from a councillor is to do with Port Kennedy and their belief that the city needs to be doing more in that particular part of Rockingham. It all comes from the results of the customer satisfaction survey that the city conducts every year, and some of his concerns around Port Kennedy not scoring particularly well in terms of residents' satisfaction and general happiness. All right, the next notice of motion for tomorrow night is all about a push to increase the amount of advocacy the city does in trying to get more funding for local projects from state and federal governments. All because we sit in a very safe seat and at both state and federal levels, and that has a big impact on the amount of funding that's made available to us from both sides of the political divide. And this notice of motion suggests that the city should be doing more to push for that. Now the city already does a huge amount of advocacy, and I can definitely see the arguments both for and against this one. So again, I'm a bit of a fence sitter, and I'll be very keen to see what the others have to say in relation to this one. Now the last notice of motion that will be considered tomorrow night is all about redoing and upgrading the signage at both the Gary Holland Centre and the Rockingham Arts Centre on Kent Street. And I think the timing is fantastic, given we're doing a big push to really promote and market the city. So I think some increased signage as to where our key attractions like the Gary Holland Centre are is a pretty great idea. So that is a very quick summary of some of the items that are on tomorrow night's council meeting agenda. If you'd like to find out more information, you can contact me directly, or you can download all the info, like I said before, at the city's website. I would highly recommend, if you've got the time, come along to the council meeting. Doors open around 5:30, meeting starts at 6. It starts off with public question time, and then obviously goes into the meeting properly. I would recommend, if you're coming along, make the time to stay for the whole thing, because it's always interesting to be able to hear the debate and hear different councillors' points of view and why they vote the way they do. And I certainly hope to see you there so you can be part of the decision-making process. As always, if there's anything I can help with, just give me a yell.